And good morning. Welcome back to the Livingston Parish News Morning Show. My name is McHugh David, publisher and editor of the news. We appreciate you joining us this morning. We have our new billboard up behind us. Hope you like it. Leave us a comment if you do. I'm joined today in the studio again, as I was on Friday afternoon, by Mr. David James Gray. He will be giving the afternoon show a shot today. And I'll be here with him, but we're going to be throwing some new faces at you over the next couple of days, couple of weeks, in a variety of different shows, just to mix it up a little bit, let you get to know the folks that work here, and that kind of thing. So we'll be looking forward to seeing how he does this afternoon. A reminder that we're on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. And we post these shows as well as our long-form podcast at www.livingstonparishnewscom/podcast. Those are free. We have audio and video versions available there. Please check us out at www.livingstonparishnewscom/podcast. Also, a reminder is not only are these free, but we have an app. You can get it through iStore or iTunes Store, Apple Store, whatever you call it these days. As well as Google Play. We're on all devices. If you don't want to pay the $5 a month, which is pervasive, it allows you to stay logged in, you can get it just for the breaking news, which we label, which is free. We have a free breaking news section. So please check that out. Over kind of a slow weekend this weekend, a big event happened Saturday, which we'll talk about. Actually, David was at it. But a couple of things leading up into the weekend, last weekend. First and foremost, school began, and I was late on Friday. I was late today. Just trying to figure out those new traffic patterns. And speaking of which, we definitely have some new traffic patterns today. If you check it out, our office is off Hatchell Lane, which is just dead gridlock in the morning, and it is that way right now. Heavy delays on Hatchell, which has also caused backup on 190 meeting Hatchell. 16 in Watson at Live Oak High, going both ways. Heavy delays at Lockhart and 16. Minor delays on 64 heading into Central. Almost a dead standstill on I-12, backed up all the way to Jubin. That traffic lingers all the way to Airline and then returns at the 10-12 split. So tough commute this morning, especially with, as mentioned, school getting back in session. 190 at 4H Club Road, also heavy delays. Probably an accident on the interstate today. So it is currently 85 degrees. It's going to be hot this week, folks. Hot. Some thunderstorms in the middle of the week. 50% chance of rain. Lows near 80 overnight. So it's going to be a hot week. We are into August. That little reprieve we got, that was just Mother Nature playing with our feelings. So it's gonna stay hot and remain hot for a while. As mentioned, getting back to school, getting back into the rhythm has kind of affected traffic, but good start to the year on Friday. We're going to be checking back in with the administration, see how this whole week goes, and see if everything kind of gets back going the best that it can. Enrollment is now matched or exceeded pre-flood levels, which is a good sign for the system. We did catch up, but speaking of the heat, we did catch up with the superintendent, and we asked him about seat belts and air conditioning in the buses. He didn't really have a comment on seat belts, but the figures for air conditioning for the 275 buses is about $5 million. He said right now they're projecting a $2 million deficit for the system, which they have money in the general fund. Most governmental entities, in fact, I'm sure it applies to all of them, have to keep a certain amount of reserve funding in their general fund for catastrophic events. For cities, it's keeping enough money in the bank to have to maybe relay a whole bunch of water, sewer, and gas lines. For a school, it's probably having to rebuild a school or something of that nature. So they've got money in the general fund to make up for that deficit, but they do not have enough cash flow to air condition the buses at this time. But if anybody's interested, there's that $5 million figure. So as mentioned, we will be keeping up with them as they start their new school year. On Thursday, Congressman Garrett Graves visited LEDC, and then he sat down and did a long-form podcast with us, which we hope you got a chance to listen to. If you didn't, it's at www.livingstonparishnews.com/podcast. And it's about 45 to 50 minutes of he and I sitting down, really getting deep on a lot of the trigger issues right now. There's the Amite River study and flood mitigation, duplication of benefits, opportunity zones, and a couple of other little things that cropped up during that conversation. I'm also told that he will be there tonight at the Walker meeting, which we'll talk about in just a minute, that is focused on drainage. But what the congressman said was the vitriol and the toxicity of DC is starting to get to a tenuous tipping point. He doesn't think it's sustainable any longer. He thinks that everybody's going to have to start learning how to work together. So we're going to have to wait and see if that happens. But he seems to think that people on the Hill, who are trying to get things done, are pretty tired of all of the back and forth. You've got to work together to get things done up there. And so he's trying to make that happen, especially here for Livingston Parish. He and the Washington delegation have brought home billions for us, and we'll be using hundreds of millions for Louisiana. And we, as a parish, will be using hundreds of millions of those dollars. On Thursday as well, Thursday night, we on Thursday night, we had a parish council meeting. Let's start there. There was two big things that were on the agenda. First was just an introduction by Mr. Scooter Keene that would propose there be some sort of penalty, either a fine or jail time, for fraudulent acquisition of a permit. And he introduced that 7-2 vote. Jeff Averett and John Wascom were those who voted against the introduction. Now, it's just an introduction. There'll be discussion about it and a public hearing before anything is adopted. Keene threw out that he was just interested in a penalty to make sure that people don't just say, well, there's no penalty, so I don't care. What that would do is if they acquired a permit fraudulently, they would have to restart the entire permitting process from the beginning as well as the penalty. So that was thrown out there. According to Keene, it was not in response to the next item. He said that it was there's more than just what's going on with Premier Concrete. He said a lot of people have applied for sheds or for a boat shed, and it turned into a second house. It turned into an entire workshop, things that were not permitted appropriately. So he's looking to attack this. That seems to be more of it's not just singular to Premier Concrete. It's a pervasive issue of a lot of people asking for forgiveness, not for permission, and they're trying to get that changed. What's going on at Premier Concrete now is that a controversial 5-4 vote is sending or approved a resolution which is sending a letter to Parish President Leighton Ricks demanding that he send Premier Concrete back through the permitting process. Now, resolutions are non-binding, so it's just a letter, and so we'll just have to see how, we're waiting to see how the parish president will react to that. Those who voted against sending the letter were John Wascom of District 4, Bubba Harris of District 5, Jeff Averett of District 6, and Tableau Bell of District 8. So that those are the four that voted against sending a letter to Parish President Leighton Ricks, but it passed on a 5-4 vote. So we will see what happens with both of those items, probably coming up later in the week or next week. The master plan got some news on Tuesday. We're just kind of reminding you this. The expense of it has now grown 3 times. In order to do a drainage and a sewer plan will require engineers, and according to Mark Harrell, who's the Director of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness, and also the guy that acquires most of the grants for the parish, he said that the cost is starting to get high, and that it would be at least $1.5, maybe $2 million to get all 3, which would be zoning, parish-wide drainage, and parish-wide sewer, done on the same plan. He would have to pursue the grants, for which there would be a 25% local match, which would be, on a $1.5 million grant, it's about $375,000. Not sure if they're going to have that at the parish. We'll have to wait and see. They being the committee, the master plan committee, will have to have a discussion with Parish President Leighton Ricks and Parish Finance Director Jennifer Myers to see if that money is available or if it is not. So we'll be waiting to see how that conversation pans out over the next few days. Big meeting in Walker this evening. They actually moved the meeting to the it's either at the high school or the junior high. It's all on drainage. One of the issues that the Walker area faces is that while most of their drainage through District 5, Gravity Drainage District 5, is funded, once it hits the south side, not only does it run into the interstate, which is maintained by the state, and you have to have special permission to get in there and work on it, also costs money. Below the interstate is unfunded gravity drainage. So when you hit that point, there's nothing that can be done. The water just stops. So there'll be some interesting discussion going on tonight. That meeting is at 6, as mentioned. We believe that Congressman Garrett Graves will be there. Time will tell. Getting into some non-news stuff. Natalie Kelly, formerly a Albany girls basketball player, is seeing an expanded role at Auburn University, where she plays. You can check that out at www.livingstonparishnewscom/sports. Excuse me. The school resource officers sat down and talked with us about the new year and getting back into the swing of things. That tax did not pass last year. But still, some pieces of the district found the money to send school resource officers or to hire them. So you can check that out, www.livingstonparishnewscom/living. Also on Saturday, huge river cleanup event happened on the Amite River in and around French Settlement, Port Vincent, that kind of area. A lot of boats on the water, pulled out a lot of really fascinating stuff. I was told by District 7 Councilman Tracy Gerlinghouse that early in the process they found a Mickey Mouse, stuffed Mickey Mouse, and then proceeded to put him on the front of the boat like a pirate ship, which is both amazing and gross all at the same time. But anyway, they found things like submerged boats, fridges, furniture, all sorts of things in that river, which is only going to help with the flow of water. There is still plenty of trash, plenty of things to pick up. If you're ever curious, you can call the parish or, David, the name of the lady who organized it?
Rachel Deaton.
Rachel Deaton is the lady who organized the event.
They're supposed to be picking up the trash today, the parish is.
And the parish is going out to pick up the trash today. Thank you, sir. Miss Deaton did send out some pictures actually on Sunday saying that there were places that they just could not get to. They were looking for either airboats or skiffs. So if you are an owner of an airboat or a skiff and can help out Miss Deaton, please let us know. So going one more time back around the bend with traffic, which, was amazing last week when same thing. I will say they're very efficient once they start unloading those kids. Hatchell has cleared up considerably, still minor delays. Heavy delays now extending all the way into the 10-12 split on I-12 heading westbound, starting at Juban. And then delays at Juban and 190 heading westbound. Delays on Greenville Springs in Central and heading into Central. And delays at 190 and 4-H Club Road on the west side of Denham Springs. Probably an accident on the interstate, so prepare yourself for that. It's already hot, 86 degrees, so it's gone up a degree since we started the show. 78 is your low tonight. 95 is your high. Now, please remember that it's probably going to be more like 105 because of humidity and heat index. Throughout the week, you're looking at lows in the high 70s at night. I'm going to get that right. With a small chance of rain on tomorrow and Wednesday. Highs near 100. We'd like to remind you that we are on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. We'd appreciate it if you checked us out there. These guys are putting out a ton of great content for which we are appreciative. Please check us out. We put these shows as well as our long-form podcast at www.livingstonparishnnews.com/podcast. We had two great ones last week. The one we talked about with Congressman Garrett Graves, and then a secondary one we did that morning with Jamie Seal of Quality Engineering, who came in and talked about gravity drainage 1 and a lot of the things that they're trying to do. It's very fascinating. Drainage is a crazy animal. Those are free. We have those up. They're audio and video versions, as well as a show. We also have audio and video versions of this show, www.livingstonparishnnews.com/podcast. We're online, $5 a month. We are also in print, $10 a month, 2 papers, Thursday and Saturday. Again, my name is McHugh David, publisher and editor of the news. Appreciate you joining us this morning. Be expecting Mr. David Gray to be sitting in the chair this afternoon for the afternoon show as we try to ease him in to the process. Thanks for joining us this morning. We hope you make it a great week.